Thank you for being here in Southwest Little Rock at our Southwest Community Center on a really exciting afternoon where we have the opportunity as a city to release some very significant statistics about the new Americans, what we call the new Americans in Little Rock. And this is a report that is being released today that is a consortium of support from Gateways for Growth, the City of Little Rock, the Little Rock Regional Chamber of Commerce, and the State and Local Division of the New American Economy. And what it does is it really tries to begin to give us some definition and outline, a real snapshot on the demographic and economic contributions of immigrants to our Little Rock area. And as we release this report, we know this because we see and we walk up and down our streets and in our grocery stores and our drugstores, we see our immigrant community and how they play a very, very important role in making Little Rock a great place to live, work, and raise a family. We see them in our neighborhoods and in our parks. We have the opportunity to begin to see that wonderful multicultural mix that makes for such a rich fabric in cities across the country and indeed here in the City of Little Rock. As mayor, of course, I've enjoyed seeing that kind of cultural contribution that we see here in our city, and it comes in a variety of forms, not just what we see from everyday life, but it comes in the way of such things as Bollywood nights with our Indian community that I've had the honor and pleasure to be a part of. It comes with our Hispanic community and what we do here in Southwest Little Rock. It comes with our Asian community and a variety of people who come here professionally, China and from South Korea, our ATA Taekwondo, World Taekwondo championships that are held here. They're all a part of the fabric of what makes up Little Rock. And it's no surprise that this is happening because we truly are a global economy, and we're a region that is competing not only with our neighboring states, but we're competing with other countries around the world. We're competing for jobs, we're competing for talent, we're competing for that type of unique experience and opportunity that's so rich in terms of entrepreneurship, which we see in our immigrant community particularly. We see a much higher rate of entrepreneurship and the belief in building your own business that's much higher with immigrants than it is with some of our people that are here in the United States. And that's why it's important when we look at this report that we continue to expand the access for those that are not just born here in the United States, but also that are born in countries around the world and have chosen to make this their home. And that's why here in Little Rock, in particular, we want and we believe we have a very welcoming environment. And I'm very proud and thankful for the work that is done right here in Southwest with our Working Together in the Community group and its slogan, really, which says it all. We are a group of community people, business owners, government officials, educators, neighborhood association members, and residents who want to unite the community and to make our neighborhoods better. The city has had a tremendous relationship with our Mexican consulate that's located right here, and Consul General Rodolfo Quilanten Arenas. And we recently have created in our city to further advance this a multicultural liaison position. Our Racial and Cultural Diversity Commission, and I see representatives that are here in the audience today, works very, very hard to reach out and to embrace those issues from a multicultural standpoint. We do World Fest each year. We expose our young people to various cultures through our schools. And of course, our Sister Cities organization reaches out to many, many cities around the world where we have where we've developed very, very strong relationships and experiences that talk about not just the cultural understanding that's so important to people, but also the economic development opportunities that provides. And so this report that we're debuting today was made possible by a grant that we received as a result of showing through a rigorous application process that demonstrates that we have as a city a strong commitment to business and to local governments and to our partners that recognize the contributions that our immigrant community makes to our city. And so whether it's bolstering our population growth, and we know we have a a fairly large undercount as we look to the 2020 census. We know we have some great opportunities to convince those people to let us know that they are our residents and that we embrace them and we make them welcome, because it directly relates to the amount of funding that comes from the federal government for us to be able to take care of our citizens, to the new businesses and the creation and starting of jobs. And so whether it's the entrepreneurship programs at the city, or whether it's working with the Small Business Administration, or working with our chamber and our economic development partners, it's so very important that we recognize and appreciate and applaud and embrace the immigrant population in our city. And so now, to talk about those issues and the social fabric of those issues in a little bit in more detail, I'd like to turn over the microphone to Jay Cheshire, who is the president and CEO of our Little Rock Chamber of Commerce, and let him delve into some of the detailed highlights of this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to begin by apologizing for my voice. The spring pollen has certainly gotten to me, but we're so thankful that spring is here. And you know, I want to first of all start by acknowledging a few people that are in the audience, because I think it's important that as we come together and celebrate the strength of our diversity, that we talk about the folks that led in the effort in creating this report. And first of all, on behalf of our chairman, Kathy Tuggle, who's sitting in the back, the owner of Apartment Hunters, and past chairman Gary Smith, who's sitting in the audience as well, along with incoming chairman Kevin Crass. These are three of the leaders of our board of directors who recognize that we're better together, and that together we're going to go to far greater heights than we would individually. So first of all, thank you to them for having the confidence in us, their staff, to do this work. Speaking of which, Miguel Lopez, who's typically standing in the back as he is today with a really pretty pink tie on, Miguel Lopez was actually working for us at the chamber, was with us at a national conference, and had the opportunity to go and be a part of a breakout session on the value of immigration, not only to individual communities, but to the country as a whole. And it was in that process that Miguel struck up a conversation with the members of the New American Economy Group about the possibility of coming to Little Rock and to do the type of research where we could, in fact, not talk about it, but better quantify what an amazing impact that all of our ethnicities have on the economy of Little Rock and Metro Little Rock. So because of his efforts, last fall we received a research award from the New American Economy, which brings together more than 500 mayors and business leaders who support immigration reforms that will help create jobs for Americans today. This work also includes customized quantitative research reports on the demographic and economic contribution that immigrants actually make in their own communities. Now today, together with the City of Little Rock, the Little Rock Regional Chamber is excited to announce the results of this important research on the positive impact that immigrants have in our Little Rock region. And you know, this isn't something new for folks like Director Joan Adcock, who constantly is working alongside Director B.J. Wyrick here in the southwest portion of our city and helping create immigrants a pathway to prosperity. And so we're so thankful that they, along with Director Cappy Peck and her amazing work on the city board, have joined us today. I want to talk about 4 specific areas where the New American Economy quantified some of this activity. First of all, economic contributions. Foreign-born residents contributed $2 billion to the GDP of Little Rock. Given their income, immigrants contributed significantly to state and local taxes, including property, sales, and excise taxes levied by state or municipal government. In fact, the amount earned by immigrants in 2016 was $917 million in this region. Of that, $158 million went to federal taxes, $84 million went to state and local taxes, leaving them with $675.4 million in spending power, real spending power. So let's look next at the labor force. Although foreign-born immigrants make up 4% of the Metro's overall population, they actually represent 5.3% of working age population, 5.3% of employed in our labor force, and 9%, an amazing statistic, of STEM workers. You know, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And creating a pipeline of STEM workers is vital in today's economy, not only for what jobs that we have available today to grow our economy, but especially the jobs of our future. And as you can see, the immigrant community is overrepresented as we're trying to grow this economy in that role. Because of their role, helping companies keep jobs on the U.S. soil, by 2016, immigrants living in this area helped create or preserve 1,346 local manufacturing jobs that would have otherwise vanished or moved somewhere else. In fact, when you look at our recently reported yesterday METROC 2020 strategy and looking at advanced manufacturing and its participation in our economy, where you see a projected growth rate of 13.8% in advanced manufacturing jobs in our MSA, this community will play a strong role in that continuing to be an important part of growing our economy. Let's next look at entrepreneurship. Despite making up 4% of the Metro's overall population, immigrants represent 8.5% of entrepreneurs in the Little Rock Metro in 2016. Again, take a look just tomorrow when the Venture Center and the Tech Park announced the FIS FinTech Accelerator, third edition of the FinTech Accelerator. And you'll see that FinTech growth, Tech Park growth, innovation growth is actually being led and fueled by the immigrant community in the Metro Little Rock area. That's significantly important. Something that also might surprise you, 30.4% of our immigrants have a bachelor's degree or higher, compared to 29.2% of our U.S.-born citizens. That's important. Growing the economy, being educated, and taking us in innovative ways to places that we've never been. You know, the Little Rock region is blessed to have a diverse culture and economy. This diversity is a major selling point when we're marketing our region to the outside world. It's important when we're talking to companies about coming here and why being comfortable here is an important factor in locating here. It's also important to existing companies expanding, because today it's not an economic development battle. It's a battle for talent. And the more talent that we can create, the more talent that we can attract, the more talent that we can retain, obviously means that Little Rock is going to be a winner in the new economy, as opposed to getting run over by others who are. You know, it's my pleasure also today to introduce someone who's part of this, that I would like to also tell you her story. Mrs. Sophia Syed moved to Little Rock in 2007 and received her master's degree at the University of Arkansas Clinton School of Public Service. By the time she graduated, her family had obtained green cards, and she became an economic consultant with the Arkansas Economic Development Commission and Windrock International. She now leads the Interfaith Center at the Episcopal Diocese, and in 2016, she was named Humanitarian of the Year by Just Communities of Arkansas and Peacemaker of the Year by the Arkansas Coalition for Peace and Justice, to highlight one of the stars in our immigrant community. Please welcome with me Ms. Sophia Syed.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Mark, everyone, for being here. I am honored and humbled to be profiled in this report. I think most of us immigrants work very hard, and a lot of you work much harder than I am, so I'm really, really honored. Thank you so much. I am a brown Muslim woman, as you all can visibly look at me and tell, who was born and raised in Pakistan, and I came to America when I was 20 years old. And I came to America 24 years ago for higher education and better life. And I got both of them, no doubt about that. That journey was not easy. And for many of you who are in the room, you know it's never easy for immigrants. There is not only a glass ceiling, there are wood ceilings and concrete ceilings, and there is any kind of ceiling that you can imagine, you will see that and you will experience it. And everyday life, I mean, you can't you can't qualify for insurance, you cannot send your child to school, you cannot work, you are not legal for this, you are not legal for that, you cannot qualify for a scholarship, you want to go to college. But the good thing about America is that if you work hard, and if you persevere, and if you keep trying, things always work out. Always. That's the beauty of America. So Ben asked me today to talk about my own life, and I really think you can read about my life in my profile. I would like to share 2 thoughts that I have on my own immigration experience with you, and I think they are true to many of the immigrants that I connect with. So 2 things. First thing, yes, there are many, many, many benefits that come to us immigrants from this land, that come to us from our experience of its growth and development, from its opportunities and freedoms. There is no denying about that, absolutely none, that's true. We know and appreciate those freedoms because we enjoy them. We never had them in our home country. We accomplish a lot more in this country just because we had those experiences. So I feel, and a lot of us feel, that it is also a moral obligation and duty to protect those freedoms for the next generations of immigrants to come. So that's my first thought on immigration, because I think it's a moral responsibility of all the immigrants to give the same experiences to our next generations. Secondly, yes, we do get a lot of gifts from this land, but there are many, many gifts that we immigrants bring with us to this country from the lands of our origin. From the first one who came to Jamestown and who landed at Plymouth Rock, to the ones who are still coming from Mexico and Guatemala and Syria and India and Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan, none of us came empty-handed. We never do. We come bearing many spiritual and intellectual and emotional and cultural gifts with us. I take my own example. When I came here, I was not allowed to work. It was illegal for me to work. I started cooking food for the families who were living around me to make some extra petty cash. I started babysitting for my whole neighborhood so my husband can pursue his PhD and I can still have some money to raise my kids at home, because he was not allowed to work either. When I went to college, I started creating intellectual forums for others who can learn from me. Like you just heard, I worked on Governor's strategic plan at Arkansas Economic Development Commission. From there to DHS to Winrock, I ended up starting a nonprofit to create inclusive communities in Arkansas. Because yes, economic growth is important, very important, but even what's more important is creating those communities which are conducive to economic growth. And then I went on to create another nonprofit where Muslims can come and sit and worship. I created a consulting firm for my own economic development. So one after another, all these organizations, they're producing hundreds and thousands of business. They're generating business, they're employing people, but more important than that, they're generating social capital to make Arkansas a better place to live, a more inclusive place to live, where people can reach their potential, their human growth and development potential. And I am not unique. Each one of you in this room, you're just like me. Very dedicated, very hardworking, and ready to give back. All of us are ready to give back because we do not take this country for granted. We are not born here. We bring our qualities and traits and skills and experiences, and we are ready to give back because we want to feel, we immigrants, we want to feel one and connected with the builders of America in the past and with each other who all are doing this beautiful work right here. So that was the second thing. That's my immigration reality, and I think that's a reality of many of the immigrants in this nation. So thank you so much for your time.
So as you can see, Sophia is certainly a star, and we have a lot of those among us. But someone else that we'd like to highlight for the purposes of this report today is a gentleman that in 2003, 6 years after he had arrived in the United States from Mexico, he'd saved enough money to open a printing business in Little Rock, Imprenta Printing and Signs, which he runs with his brother and father. They quickly won a loyal following among the city's Hispanic businesses. Other immigrant-run businesses also began to flock to Imprenta, and today, the thriving company has 2 locations. About half of their business comes from American-born residents of Little Rock, and the other half from the city's many Hispanic, Arab, Asian, Indian-run, and other ethnic firms. Please welcome with me Miguel Fuentevilla.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miguel Fuentevilla. Thank you for the kind introduction. I'm humbled and I'm honored to be here in front of you guys and be sharing my story of as an immigrant and how firsthand we were able to see the growth of not only Latinos, but in immigrant community in general, which are very strong, as the report mentioned, very strong on entrepreneurship, very strong on pushing forward. And we were able to, through our business being a marketing company, we were able to see that approach firsthand, like I mentioned. We sit down with them one-on-one, and we were able to see also the type of values and moral that we're all sharing in common, which is to work hard, to really take care of our families and take care of others as well. On our end, it also is a very humble story. We started Imprenta Printing in 2003. It's been 15 years, and we started from our house. You know, the garage was where we had the equipment, and one of the office, that's where we did most of the graphic design. Thankfully, the loyalty with our clients helped us grow, and we expanded to Garage Springs. We're here located in Southwest Little Rock, where initially we thought we will have a little bit of the Hispanic and immigrant community as clients, but to our surprise, at the beginning, about 90% of it, that was our clientele. They help us grow, they support us, we support them back as well. And that's how we were able to see that strong commitment and that strong American dream that each one of us has when we come to this beautiful country and this great state that has nothing but nice to provide to just everybody in general. Through our story, we were able to be witnesses of this, and thank you to the mayor, thank you to the chamber for this extra effort to get the report, because I'm a numbers guy, and I think we all want to know how the contribution is. I think at the very end, numbers don't lie. We do want to know how immigrants are actually contributing money-wise, and how we're paying taxes, and probably get rid of some of the myths that sometimes they're out there. So through the numbers, through actual reports, that's the only way we can see that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Jay and Sophia and Miguel, for your comments. You know, Sophia said something that I think was so very important, and Miguel as well, in terms of what that cultural fabric really brings and enriches our community about. She was very modest in some of her discussion about all of her growth here as in our city. I remember not too long ago going to an interfaith community prayer service that was held at the mosque, and really had the ability to bring in faiths of all different natures, whether it be our Jewish community, our Hindu community, our Christian community, and brought in certainly our Muslim community, and brought in everybody to collectively talk about the importance of peace and security, not just in our city, but in the world. I know she learned that probably by taking my class at the Clinton School of Public Service on the contemporary urbanism course I took, but in all truth, she did that completely on her own. You know, this entrepreneurial spirit is so very strong, and we see it time and time again. It's exciting to me, it's exciting to see that kind of opportunity to work with people from all over the globe. I had the unique experience as a 17-year-old in high school to be a foreign exchange student and live in Istanbul. And that really opened my eyes to the importance of communication and dialogue, people among people, as opposed to government to government. But it reinforces the fact that if you let people have that direct communication with each other, they can get a lot more done sometimes than our governments can. So that's why it's important to the city of Little Rock. That's why it's important that we embrace our immigrant community, because it's not just the cultural issues. It also, for those people who are doubting Thomas's, it's the economic opportunities that are presented. It's the give back that we see from our immigrants that come here because they have the opportunity to succeed. The wonderful element of democracy holds true in all sense of the word in terms of the opportunity to people to succeed, to find those quality of life issues that are so very, very important. So I want to thank certainly the New American Economy and Miguel Lopez for going after this grant to give us an opportunity to have this very open dialogue, which is so very important for our community. And as a city in the South, we're one of the leaders in doing this in terms of some of the cities that are doing this. But we have to recognize that immigrants are coming in to our cities from all across the country. So it's not just the East Coast and the West Coast. It's Tulsa, it's Des Moines, it's Birmingham, Bowling Green, Chattanooga. They're all in the same context. And if we're going to compete, if we're going to be all we can be, we need to embrace this with all great success and affection. So this report now is a beginning. It's an opportunity to keep and expand this gateway of review for us in terms of how we continue to grow our immigrant community and embrace our immigrant community. And those are efforts that are going to go on in all corners of our city. Certainly, we've been working for the last 2 years here and with a focus on our Hispanic community, with working together in the communities, and we'll continue to do that. But we are reaching out, obviously, to many, many other populations that we know are certainly of the rich fabric of our city as well. And so when we bring these stakeholders together, we're going to figure out how we can maximize this opportunity for our city and really put us on the map in terms of making our city stronger. So thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate that. I appreciate my city directors that are with me, Director Adcock and Director Peck and Director Wyrick. I just took you last. What's wrong with that?
I just wanted to make sure you knew my name.
I've known you longer than any of the rest of them. But in any event, though, that completes our press conference for this afternoon, and we're happy to take questions if you have any.